Today I'll be talking about what we do to make sure that we don't run out of gas while we're camping. Our camper came with two 20-pound LP tanks, and the gas is used for the heater, for cooking, including the outdoor grill quick connect, and it can also be used for the refrigerator and the water heater if you don't have electrical. Unfortunately, there's no built-in sensor to let you know how much propane you have left. There are products you can buy that do track your propane levels, and some of them even have like phone apps so that you can check them. For us, we typically have electrical hookup, so we really only use gas for the heater and for cooking. But even with that, we store our camper in the winter, so for the heater it's typically just early spring and late fall. And we do a lot of our cooking on the campfire, so we don't use gas for a lot of stuff. So we've not really looked into any of those products. What we mostly rely on is the Auto-Changeover regulator. So with the two tanks, it'll automatically switch to the second tank when the primary tank is depleted. So for us, that's worked really well. There is one other thing we do if we do think a tank is low on gas, that we can check the level, and I'll show that at the end of the video. One quick thing I wanted to point out was if you do need to take the cover off your propane tanks, there is a little bungee cord down here. So you'll want to unhook that first before you pull the cover off, and you will need to take the cover off if you ever need to refill one of your LP tanks. So another thing you could do to check the tanks is you could actually take them off and lift them. Empty tanks can be a lot lighter than a tank that's full, but that's quite a bit of a hassle. So this is the auto changeover regulator, and it'll have an arrow to which tank is your primary tank. So whichever way that's pointing, that's the tank that's considered the primary tank currently. And don't be concerned if it's already red before you turn on the gas. I noticed that when I turn them off and come back later, this will turn red. That doesn't mean that you don't have gas or anything like that in your primary tank. So the way I usually do it is I turn the primary tank on first. And if you noticed, it turned green already, so there is gas pressure from this tank. And then I turn on the secondary or backup tank. You want to turn this one on so that if you do run out of gas in your primary tank, it'll auto switch over to the other tank, and you'll keep cooking. Be able to keep using the gas. So if you go to turn off your propane for your camping trip and you notice that it is red before you turn it off, then you know that your primary tank is empty and that it's ready to be replaced. So you'll still want to turn off your propane tanks, and then what you'll do is you'll turn the dial to the other tank to make it the primary. So now next time you go camping, it'll start pulling off this one, and then at that point you can take off this tank to get it refilled and then put it back on once it's full, and it becomes your backup tank. So now this one will run until it's empty, and then you turn the arrow back to this one. So I'm going to try to simulate the primary tank running out of gas. So the arrow's pointing to the primary tank right now, and it's green, so it's pulling gas from this tank. I'm just going to slowly turn it off and see if it'll switch over to the other tank. So I don't know if you noticed, but it just turned from green to red. So now it's pulling from the backup tank. Here's a view from the top if you still have the cover on of the auto changeover regulator. So you can just barely see what the color is here, and you should be able to tell where the arrow is. It's not the most convenient way to look at it, but you can get the information without taking the cover completely off. One other way you can check the level of your propane tanks is just to use a simple sensor. So this is one that they sell for gas grills. It'll do the job here as well. Because these cords are so short, I actually had to remove the top thing for how you undo the propane tanks to give enough clearance here. But basically you want to make sure your gas tanks are off. Then you can screw on your sensor. And then you can screw on to hook up to your camper. And then once that's all on, you can just slowly turn on your gas tank, and then you should be able to see how much gas you have left. So this one's almost full. Again, this might be something you want to do if you're about to go on a long trip. You want to make sure both your propane tanks are full. That's pretty much it for what we do in terms of checking the levels of propane before we go camping. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. And as always, we love to get comments with any suggestions or questions you have for us. Happy camping, and thanks for watching.